There he is.
Chris, what's up?
Yo,
You in?
Checking audio.
I don't have all the fancy things like you guys. I just
Not
have
yet.
Dude,
Not yet, brother.
got the little.
we're learning. We're learning, dude.
We got
What's up, boys?
How you
something, my
doing,
dude.
brother?
Real quick before we start talking and we get right into it. Can you bring down the camera angle a bit? You got too much headspace. Oh, that's where you're gonna be? Okay.
Bro,
Now go up.
let's go.
There it is. Okay. My man.
Perfect.
Much? Do you want me to move it over here like this way?
That's fine. Because
It's perfect.
what we do is we zoom in and we do these long forms for
Yeah,
shorts
I've seen a few of them.
We're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking to the media guy about how we media. Yeah, let's tell him.
Exactly it. We're talking to
Oh, that's funny.
the subject matter expert. Man,
Yeah.
your
I
vlogs,
don't know
dude.
about that. Do what?
Your vlogs, man. They're
Hi,
pretty
man. I
impressive.
appreciate it.
Dude, like I envy that kind of like being that kind of creative. I just don't have that bone in my body. I don't.
I think both of you guys do, honestly. Dude,
A
there's
little
different
bit.
levels of like creativity as far as like writing your workouts and being creative and training in that level.
Mm.
And then content creation too, which I think you guys both are doing a very good job on
I don't know if you
building
say
that brand. So the
Oh,
creativity is definitely there. I think a lot of it with that creativity is it's just take a guess at it and just do it. You know what I mean? I think we're all just kind of failing forward and figuring everything out as we step forward. So
well,
Well,
truth be
Chris,
told, we have a team. I mean, I have my fiance Mel, and she does
Mhm.
pretty much everything on like the media side.
yeah,
She's
that
super
helps.
creative.
That
She's
helps
super
for sure.
creative. So,
So,
Chris, on the intro here, we usually like to do just like a small intro for you. Maybe say your name, where you're from, what do you do, and obviously your hobbies.
Yeah. My name is Chris Buol. I'm originally from Block Island, Rhode Island, and it's a very small island off the coast of Rhode Island. So I live in the smallest state in the United States, and then I lived on an island that was even smaller than that.
Yeah.
And then moved around a bunch. Went to college down in North Carolina at Elon, and then stayed there for a while. Met my wife back up in Rhode Island. She lived in Florida, and then we lived down in Florida for a long time too, and then came halfway back up to South Carolina. So I'm what you would call a halfback, halfway back from the north all the way back down and then into the mountains there.
What part of Florida were you living?
Melbourne, Central East Coast.
Okay. It's fine. All these great like firefighters and firemen come from Florida. Like
Yeah.
a lot of good dudes to come down from the Sunshine State.
You
Real
got
quick,
for sure
Gators
doing it.
or Hurricanes?
Right.
Which one? Who you
What?
choose? Are you a Gator fan? Hurricane, Seminole?
Oh, I don't see. We're gonna get into a touchy subject. I'm not a big like sports fan. I don't
Okay.
really pay attention to much of that. I just
Mm. See,
all
I was in.
good, all good. I'm
I
right there
was
with you. CrossFit is my sport, and
yeah,
when I say that, people are like, "Oh, that's weird." Well,
yeah.
I
yeah.
was
So
indoctrinated into it. My first onesie was a University of Florida onesie. All
Hey,
my
you
family
were
went there. I'm the black sheep of my family that didn't go to UF, so it
dang.
chose me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but it has to be something that is important to my family. It's
No,
just
yeah,
a
I
man.
family
understand.
tradition at this point.
I completely understand that.
Yeah, man. All good. Hey, yeah, yeah. You drink your cup of tea. Everyone
Yeah.
has their own cup of tea or whatnot.
Well, Chris, let's get into it a little bit. Like, tell us about well, obviously you were telling us, and I interrupted you, but tell us how you got into the fire service.
So I kind of wanted to do the fire service for a long time. Growing up, I did a little bit of volunteering stuff in high school and stuff like that. Um, and then I was going to do some stuff in college, but then college kind of took over, and I didn't want to settle down into that route. So when my wife and I moved back from Florida, I thought about applying. I had actually filled out a bunch of applications and then never pushed them through. And so when we were there, we moved after a couple of years of living in Florida. So we basically put our finger on a map and moved up to Greenville, South Carolina. Never been here. We started a dog training business, became very successful in that realm for over 6 years, sold it a few years ago, and then had about a year to kind of just do whatever we wanted. So it was kind of like a semi-retirement. And then a couple of my buddies that I trained their dogs with were in the fire department. I was like, oh man, I'd really always wanted to do that. And then the opportunity came up. My buddy sent me an application form and said, hey, Greenville City is hiring, and with no experience or anything like that. So filled out the application. They called me a couple of weeks later. And then on June 6th of 2022 is when I got hired.
Nice. So you're relatively early in your career as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Very baby in the career.
Yeah,
sure.
but not in life experiences or
No,
definitely not in age.
No, not at all. Easy there, Erik. Easy.
Hey, we asked Shelby this same question. How is it going through an academy with super young firefighters?
Yeah, so we also had I had a young group of people, but then I had like a summer program that we went through too. So it was like 16, 17, 18-year-olds that were in school. So I had to go through with them. And so there was kind of like some things that we had to do a little bit different, which is fine because I didn't know anything else. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of like kind of some misreps and stuff that I wish that I would have had, but I'm solid now with a lot of that stuff. But for me, just because of having life experience, it's like, this is the way that I know you guys want things done. That's the way that I'm going to do them. There's no like pushback on, because right. I'm 36 years old, doesn't mean that I'm just going to be like, you can't tell me what to do. You know, correct. You're 25. That's not how that works in my brain. Correct. That's just not how that is. That's life experience, you know? So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to show up every single day. I was heavy into CrossFit for a while too. Won some pretty sick competitions around here. And then, once I joined the academy, I kind of took that and I was like, all right, I'm going to run with this and I'm going to do the fitness in the morning. And everybody started kind of following suit. We had our morning routine, but then they were like, hey, Chris, can you lead this? So I started writing the programming and stuff like that for the daily workouts. So it was kind of like my own little thing. I knew how to run the fitness side of things. And then it was like, okay, it's time to go to work and kind of do the thing that everybody else wants us to do. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. All those different things. And it's very much like how, not playing the game, but like, that's what this is. This is the fire service is very like respectful of whoever's with the age groups. You have a wide variety of 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that are in charge. Like, cool, you've got more experience than me in this realm. I'm going to latch on to you and I'm going to learn from you because you have that experience. I don't care how old or young you are. You're going to teach me something. So
did you think coming into the academy or even the fire service with a CrossFit background helped you? Because we're looking at 3 individuals that like had a CrossFit background. And I think we have a different mindset when it comes to doing difficult tasks.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. Literally all my 20s was a full-time coach, athlete, just crazy. Fitness levels were through the roof and kind of shifted my idea of what is normal and what is fitness. Yeah. And then you come into a new field where people are like, you're crazy. Like I've gotten so many of those. You're crazy because you're doing this. Right. Did it help you going through the academy?
Physically, yes. Mentally, no. And physically, it was helpful just because I was in shape and, was able to kind of dig deep into those realms. But the things, the caves that I could dive into, those deep, dark caves, lasted about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe. Right. Mm-hmm. But when you're doing something difficult that's lasting all day throughout the day, it's completely different. And then and I think that's why like we're talking now is because wearing all of that equipment added a level that I was not familiar with at all. And so the first probably like 2 weeks of like actual in gear training that I did in the academy, I was like, man, what did I just do? What was the point of all of this CrossFit that I did for the last 7 years? Like, what are we doing here, guys? What's happening?
Yeah, you start questioning life.
It broke me down. Like I was just in a state of like, man, how are all these people? And I'm not trying to say this in the disrespectful way by any means, but like, how are people that are not in my fitness realm, what I feel fit, just outworking and outproducing in this environment day in and day in and day in. And I am dying. You know what I mean? Like mentally, I was just like, man, I'm not there. So what do I have to do? And I kind of like went the opposite way. Well, I can't, I'm 9 to 5 at the academy right now, 8 to 5 or whatever. And I don't have enough time to work out. So I kind of let myself a little bit go in that realm when it came to the fitness side of stuff. But yeah, man, like I was like, and everybody's like, oh, you're a CrossFitter, you'd be all right. And I got in there and I was like, no, I'm not okay. I'm curled up in a ball, I'm not doing well, guys. What's happening? So that mental side was like very, very difficult for me to kind of deal with. And I'm just now, 2 years later, getting out of that mental fight that I've had to deal with.
Listening to you speak, I went through something similar.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that, is it the physiology of training for X amount of a certain style for X amount of years hindered or debilitated me in wearing out that extra layer or the gear? I just can't help but think that, the pinpointing, also being older, because the older you get, the plasticity of your mind and how you're able to adapt and learn new things dwindles, right? As compared to when you're younger. So you're seeing these kids pick up habits or pick up skills faster than you. And so now you have to play catch up because you're a little bit older. I didn't want to let my age be a determining factor because I could still outwork them when I was slick. But then I see these kids in gear. And I was like, how the fuck are they doing that? So it was just like harping on me. And then I'll go 100%. I'll give you everything I have for the evolution. And then I'm spent. So learning how to taper off was a rude awakening for me as well. Like, I will give you everything I got, and then I just want to chill. No, we're not chilling. You're switching bottles and you're going back in, bro. Like, no.
I'm like, no, I'm going to be a liability at this point. Like, there's nothing. I'm sorry, guys. Like 220 pounds, you're going to have to be pulling me out when it comes to that. I don't know what to tell you.
So, brother, you're not the only one, man. That's why it's so imperative that, I guess, the mission, the mindset, just training gear is the answer to the formula, right? We have to know all these things, and we have to know medical and firemanship. But if you're comfortable in gear, you're already, leaps and bounds.
A weapon.
You're a weapon. You're lethal. You're already lethal. So that's the, man, I want to polish it. I want to say it better. I want to speak it better. But ultimately, if you understand, like, training gear is the answer. And that's at the most simplest foundation, right? That's the most simplest form I could say it. So Chris, you're not the only one, brother. You're not the only one.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's what kind of brought me to those vlogs, is like, man, like someone who's in that fit, and I feel fit at 38. I feel good. I feel like I can move pretty well and I'm decent. I feel like it was important that if somebody in my realm is saying like, hey, I'm not good in this environment or in this gear, I think it's valuable to people that are maybe been in the industry or been in the service for a long time, that are just trying to like get into that gear training, or even new people. And I'm not trying to be an influencer by any means. I'm just trying to tell my story of like my struggles, because I think Instagram and everything that we have going on right now, and you're starting to see a shift in it for sure, but it's very like positive, like just the highlights of everything. And I think everybody always says that, but then when I'm trying to say something, it's like, man, I need to tell the other side of that. It's like, hey, I'm struggling, but guess what? I'm working at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm trying to get better at showing my vulnerability on camera, right? Because I'm dying, bro. Like, I've seen myself on camera, and you could 100% you could see that I have low BGO. Like, my blood sugar is low. Like, my electrolytes are depleted, and I'm not going through a good time. Like, you see it on camera. So, yeah. Real quick, the Instagram handle, Buol City Dreams. How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, so it's Buol, like the motorcycle.
Buol.
Yeah, it's spelled weird, I know. Buol City Dreams. So my uncle out in Arizona, aunt and uncle, they lived like in a sick house, and we were just hanging out one day, and I was like, oh, this would be sick, like Buol City. That would be like a cool compound. Everybody gets together and we just live in Buol City. And so like, that's been just like the ultimate dream, is like Buol City Dreams is literally like you're out of like 10, 15 acres, and you have all your family and your friends and everything, and you got a sick place and sick setup. So that's kind of like where that originally stems from.
I think people love seeing authenticity. Like
Yeah.
people love you, or love hearing a story of people being authentic. Like struggling is something that everyone does, but never wants to show. But people love seeing like the journey. They love seeing like the opportunity for growth. They want to
Sure.
see a real story. People are drawn to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. I
I mean,
definitely agree with that. And I think also like a lot of people also might see, like view it as like a victim kind of mentality. And that's a loose base on that. But like, you're like, man, I'm not good at this. And then people are like, man, shut up. Stop talking like that. Like, you're okay. You're fine. When push comes to shove, and I'm like, I don't want to just be push come to shove good. I want to be prepared for the things that I need to be prepared for. So that's
Right.
kind of like how I work through that.
I think there's another big kind of idea with not being afraid to be vulnerable and asking for help. Like if I have a skill that I'm struggling with, I'll go to someone I know that is good at that skill and like, look, I need help doing this. Can you help me do this?
Right.
And and guess what? They'll help you.
100%.
Nine times out of ten, someone will be more than willing to help you. And it
Right.
might be a super simple skill, but if you have the courage to ask for help, ask to, learn a new thing, people are going to help you 10
Yeah.
times out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what really brought you into like the media world? We kind of talked about your vlogs, but like you do photography, videography, things like that. Like, is that just a passion you've always had, or?
Yeah. It's funny. When I had the dog training business, I was starting to take, a lot of photography and video. And my brother is like he's a very well known, not well known, but very good photographer. He lives in New York. So he travels around and he shoots for Kith every
Hmm.
once in a while. It's a pretty big brand. He just shot at Pebble Beach with Jimmy Fallon. Like, so he's in that
Legit.
realm. Yeah,
He's
he's
in that
very
space.
good.
Right.
And so like it's been in the family. Like my aunt takes a bunch of nature photos and stuff, and she's solid at that. She's won a couple awards or been nominated for some for the nature photography of stuff. My mom taking photos growing up, and then I used to just walk around with like an old digital camera at parties and in high school and stuff, and I would snap some photos and videos and everything like that. So once I got into the dog training realm, I started to like dive into more of that creative stuff and figuring out what looked good and trying to create more social media content in that idea. Um, but yeah, it's a fun hobby. I like it. I do get paid for some things. I got some pretty awesome clients that I work with, so that's cool. It's a cool little side job rather than just like building cabinets or cutting grass. That's what all firefighters seem to do. Is
Yeah. I bought a
Real.
gym, brother. It's
Yeah.
it's just as
yeah,
hard.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
How did you link up with Chance Craven?
Yeah, so I think it was about 3 years ago. Another buddy of mine, the same guy that sent me the link to sign up for the fire department, he's a photographer as well. So kind of the world's kind of meshed in that. And we had lunch and sat down. And then about 2 years ago, I was like, hey man, like I think that somebody needs to tell your story. I think somebody needs to like, we need to like start pushing out like you as a person. We all know Chance, right? As taking the photos and pushing out and honoring firefighters before death and everything like that. But I wanted to kind of do some behind the scenes things and all those other things. And like, I really saw something that I think a lot of people don't see in him and like who he is. And so we sat down for lunch one day and I was like, somebody should do some content for you or like tell your story. He's like, man, it's not about me. And then like last year he was like, I think I'm ready to start
That's cool.
showcasing that. So some of the things that you starting to see come through are some of the videos that I'm making for him. But he does awesome stuff with his cameras that he has and the video side, his cell phone and all those things. So not everything is mine. I'm not taking credit to that.
I've
But
met
yeah,
Chance.
Chance is an awesome
Yeah.
dude, man.
I
He's
met Chance at a forcible entry
supply code
class.
stuff.
I
Say
met him at a
what?
forcible entry class, and
Yeah.
super humble guy. I walked up, just started taking photos. Like, didn't say anything. He didn't introduce himself, or
Yeah.
he's very, very like, just here for the ride, and just
Yeah.
caught up with him afterwards. Actually, he wanted one of my. We have huge tires, like giant tires at our
Yeah.
gym, and said he was looking for one. We got some at the gym if you want to come by anytime you want. And ever since then, we've kind of just stayed in contact.
Yeah.
Really good dude.
Yeah. Super solid dude, man.
Mm-hmm.
Super solid. I got to know him pretty well when we drove down to the Orlando conference together. So that was eye-opening in a whole different realm. Both of my worlds came together in this like crazy moment. And I was just like a kid in a candy shop, man, for the whole weekend. I was like, this is incredible.
That's awesome. This last Orlando conference that just happened,
Yes, sir.
when he took that picture of, or when he linked up with that one, damn, I don't want to butcher his name. But yeah, they found some,
Oh, Justin?
yeah, Justin, there you go.
Bailey?
They found a tumor.
Bailey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wild experience because he texted me like 2 days later. He's like, this is why we do this. And I was like, I mean, that tracks. That's pretty heavy, but it tracks.
With this podcast, we're getting into a little bit more of the media side. And are you capturing most videos with an iPhone? Do you have a certain camera? I'm interested. This is kind of like a slippery slope for my bank account.
So I actually have my camera. I was trying
to here we go.
I got it on the side here. It's an older Sony camera. I need to upgrade, but I don't have.
Doesn't look like you need to upgrade, brother. It looks pretty sick, if you ask me.
I appreciate it. To my eye, it looks like shooting on a potato. But so yeah, it's a Sony A7 III, 2018 camera. It shoots what I want it to shoot. I've got a bunch of different lenses, and I mean it's done everything that I needed it to do for now, for sure.
What about editing? Are you using like what kind of program software?
So yeah, I jump back and forth between DaVinci, Premiere, and Final Cut, and then now CapCut is also what I dive into as well for like super quick edits, because CapCut's phenomenal when it comes to those effects and all the other things that you can push buttons and it just does it. I'm like, man, this would take me 4 hours to make this one thing, and I can do a whole scene in 25 minutes. So yeah, Final Cut is generally the one that I'm using for most of the videos that I'm making. Yeah.
Chance was there at that class, and he was capturing most of the things that he was there with an iPhone. He was like, you can do this with an iPhone, and just like boom, boom. And then I saw what he made with the clips from the iPhone. And I was like, dude, I can't do that. You are different. You're creative.
He's got that eye, though. That's the thing. That's that photographer's eye, and that's that creative mind to see different things before they happen and know where to put himself. That's just you can't teach that. That's just a thing that's bred into him, you know? So it doesn't matter what camera, and they always say that. It doesn't matter what camera, but if you're not that great, you get a better camera, you look a little better.
Yeah, you can upgrade it a little bit.
Yeah.
So Chris, do you ride an engine or are you on a ladder?
I'm on an engine.
Hell yeah. The
Lord's work, brother. I'm on a tailboard, going into the second year. So I got hired in the city of Greenville, June 6th, 2022. And then I started, because I did like 6 months of training for EMT and everything else I had to go through. And then I started November 12th online. So it's been about 17, 18 months that I've been in the fire service. And I'm on the back of the engine right now with a super stellar crew. Solid group of guys, for sure.
Yeah, I would say the firehouse makes the job. The guys make the job.
Oh yeah.
No matter the territory or the calls or whatnot, just the crew. So
yeah.
And
there's some pretty solid crews that I bounce around to also. You know, we get moved around quite a bit as a rookie, and and then so meeting all the other guys and vibing with them and figuring out who they are, and even working on different shifts, I think is valuable too, because then you can start to be part of their crew for a little bit, and you figure out different personalities, what you can do, what you can't make fun of, who you can joke with. So I think there's a lot of value in all of that. But yeah, for now, I've got my driving certifications for the engine. I got to get a bunch of rescue classes and hazmat classes in order to promote to what we have as Fire 3. So that'll be the driver engineer, I guess.
I've always been amazed at how fast a reputation can spread. Like a new guy can start, and like I try to do my best to do my own investigations about people before I hear what other people are talking about them. But if you have a good work ethic, if you have a good attitude, if you're a good hang, people will sing your praises across all 3 shifts. Like, oh, this is a great guy. Boom. Yep. But if you rub people the wrong way, maybe you aren't like super open-minded or don't want to listen, that will go way faster. A bad reputation will start way faster than you think. And
For sure.
like I would say to all firefighters, do your own homework. Like don't take someone else's opinion about someone before you make your own assessment. Like don't do that. I hate that, and I
Stop.
try to fix it if it's. I'm like, give him a chance. Like, do you even know this guy? And you're over here talking
Right.
shit about him. Can't
Right.
stand it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I think back of the bay said something to the effect, form your own opinion. Have
Mhm.
you seen that post? That
Yeah.
I think so.
at back of the bay, yeah, they said form your own opinion. I was like, that slaps.
Yeah.
Because man. But then again, on the other side, you get sometimes you take someone's word for it because these are your brothers and sisters that, your life depends on. So you take what they have to say with a grain of salt. So I mean,
Yeah.
I see it from both sides. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate right now.
Yeah.
But if I expect you to come and get me, I'm gonna like heavily rely on what you have to say because I trust you.
No
So
doubt.
there's that. But then again, on the other side of the coin, yeah, do your own research, have your own
Yeah.
opinion, type of
I
thing.
mean, the biggest thing is trust but verify. And
There you go.
Trust me.
when it comes down to that comes down to adapting and overcoming a lot of things. But I think this the simplest form is definitely trust and really trust those people that you verified with. You know what I mean? I think that's even more valuable when it comes to that too.
When I
Yeah.
was on probation, I kept a low profile. Like
Yeah.
I didn't really, make any waves. I didn't want to, I just kept a low profile. Battalion chiefs didn't even know my name. Like good, just make no waves for that probationary period. And then I got off probation and people were like, we thought you were this and now
Right.
you're this guy. And I was like,
Right.
because I wasn't trying to cause any issues. I didn't
Yeah.
want to cause any problems when I was on probation.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing. I think that you can lean into your own personality, but I also think that like have respect for the people that have done this before you.
Mhm.
You know, you just and that was the biggest thing is like, oh man, you're older. Like, try not to get caught up in this. Kids are going to be younger than you. I'm like, yeah, no, I understand. I get it. One of
Yeah,
my
that's
favorite
cool.
things to do was try to find my lieutenant's coffee mug and always have it kind of full for them. And if they were down in the bay doing something, man, I came down a couple times. I had hot coffee brewed up. I had Oreos laid out. I had mugs. I had whipped cream. I had everything going. And I bring it down to the bay. And they're like, get the fuck out of here with this saucy shit. Like, get out of here. What are you trying to do? All
Yeah,
right, you're a good rookie. All right, we like
yeah.
you.
I'm gonna make a
This is a
statement.
this is
I'm,
a
I'm
true
gonna make sure you're
story.
caffeinated for 24 hours.
No doubt.
On my first day, I'm going to literally my first shift. They were like, "Don't show up empty-handed. Bring something." I'm like, "Cool." So I'm like, "Man, I'm really good at making these like I don't know. It's like a breakfast casserole. It's like an egg casserole, like a
Yeah.
quiche or something like that." I'm like, "Man, what do I love? I love sausage. I love bacon. I love onions. Mushrooms. I'm gonna make this awesome thing, and I'm gonna bring it for everybody first day." I walk in. I'm like, "Good morning. My name is Reilly." Shaking all the hands. They're like, "I brought breakfast." And my engineer looks at it. He says, "Is that fucking mushrooms?" I'm like, I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "I hate mushrooms."
Yeah.
And he just walks out of the room, and I'm like, God. I
God
tried to,
Welcome.
almighty. Should
yeah,
have bought the
exactly.
donuts, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Should have
exactly.
bought
A
the
little something a little
donuts.
bit more safe. I think I could have gone with, but yeah, the first day
Hey, it
was
was a
like,
bold
well,
statement, you
look,
know?
I tried to bring a healthy
It's a
healthy
bold
meal into
move,
the
Cotton.
firehouse.
It's a
Yeah.
bold move, Cotton.
It did not pay out well, did
Did
it?
I ate a lot of that quiche by myself, to be honest.
It's all right. I've
I had a lot to
always
eat.
said that the firehouse eatery is you're not gonna be able to stick to your diet too well. But if you get to control what you can cook, you
Mhm.
get to control the diet. And so, and that's kind of like how I look at that thing. Is like, well, yeah, I'll cook, but I'm going to cook X, Y, and Z
Mhm.
because and I'll make it good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just going to be chicken and rice. And they give me a hard time about all the time. Oh, you're just
Look,
going to have
dude,
chicken and rice. I'm like, when was the last time you see me actually eat chicken and rice, guys? Come on.
that's my
So,
Yeah.
go-to crockpot chicken with rice at the firehouse.
Hey.
If I'm cooking, dude,
Yeah.
well, that's what we're gonna get. If y'all want me to cook, that's what's gonna be on the dinner table.
yeah. So yeah, if you control the cooking, then you can control the diet. That's a good slogan that I live by on that one.
God forbid you eat healthy in a firehouse, dude.
Hey,
Don't
let's not.
don't do
We're
that
on a
because
slippery
you'll
slope right
just
now. We're on a
nobody
slippery
wants to
slope.
see the guy eating healthy because you can't
Yeah.
better yourself then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FAFO. FAFO. If
Yeah.
sometimes they tell me to cook, and I'll be like, I got something for you. And
Yeah.
when I say that, get ready.
Get
I
ready.
once made a gourmet mac and cheese with 5 cheese with
Oh
five
wow.
cheeses and noodles, and I bought Publix chicken. You know what Publix is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so I bought pre-made chicken.
Oh, God. Was it good
And
though?
I said it was gourmet because I added Velveeta cheese, the three
Oh
Mexican
God, just
cheeses,
hammered them down.
mozzarella cheese.
Everybody's in the recliners, dying, rolling
Uh,
around.
Dude,
Dude,
my driver right now is like southern guy, like
Yeah.
cooks with like heavy hands with cheese and butter and stuff like that. And like sometimes he'd be like, "Hey man, I can't eat that. Like that will make my stomach hurt so bad."
Right.
And it's like I punched his mom in the face. He is so offended by that. I'm
I
like, dude, I just can't deal with my stomach hurting all night. Like I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. But
think there's a difference in that. Like if you have actual digestion issues,
mhm.
right? And for some things, it's not like, oh man, I just don't want to eat that because it's not on my diet or my nutrition. Like I can't weigh that. Like, okay, grow up. That one meal that you have isn't gonna throw your entire existence off into the outer space. Like you'll be fine.
I needed to hear that.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, you trust me, you'll be fine.
I'm right here.
Um,
you could pick and choose. I mean, from usually they make a variety. They have a salad, or they have some
yeah,
type of green, and they have some type of like, custard or dessert. You could just say no to dessert, and you could just
yeah.
pick out. Yeah, I do that all the time. I flick corn across the dining room table just just
Get
because
these mushrooms and
they
corn
fuck
out
with
of
me on
here.
purpose.
Yeah, get the
Uh,
mushrooms out of there, dude.
uh, Chris,
Terrible.
real quick, do you have
Yeah.
like a post shift ritual or anything you do to, I guess, like um, ease into reality or home life?
Um, I think I'm just very good at separating it. I think I haven't through my experiences yet haven't had anything that's in that traumatic realm. We've done some crazy stuff. We've ran some crazy things. I think I've just been able to compartmentalize it at a younger age. I saw a lot of crazy stuff at a younger age, just being in a small island, very small knit group of people, a couple friends passing away. So like I've seen some stuff that I'm just not, it's just compartmentalized. So I think for me is like my wife very much wants to know what the shift was like, right? And I'm very much like, yes, here it is. And she's like, okay, cool. Right. Like she's not the one that's like, yeah, don't tell me about this, this, and this. I'm like, and then sometimes I forget to tell her certain things. And it wasn't by like me trying to protect her, right, from what that is. She's very, very good at being able to control those variables and things along those lines. She's got like a wartime mentality. So like her brain works very similar to any one of the firefighter guys. If they saw some stuff, she would be able to very much compartmentalize it. So I think just I'm good at being able to be like, okay, the 24 hours that I was on, I'm there. And then like 3 hours after I get home, or like we talk, like that's just what it is. I get home, generally I'm like making breakfast for the kids if I need to. And then my wife and I sit down and she's like, tell me about the shift. What'd you do? Right. And so like, there'll be times where I'm like, oh, we did this and saw this and that. And this was crazy. And she's like, oh man, all right, that was a good shift. Right. Like, oh man, she's never like, oh man, I feel bad that you had to go through that. She's like, oh, that's a good one. Like that was a good shift that you had. So it helps having somebody at home that likes to share that experience, and I've also seen a lot of those things where it's like, don't tell your family what's going on. But I also think that hinders your ability to let that stuff go, in my opinion.
No, yeah, no. Thank you for answering that. I No, we all have our rituals. I tend to like work out or get to the training
Yeah.
center before like I come home with like excess like baggage or
Yeah.
unused energy, right? Because man, I've been home those days, and sometimes you could feel like the energy is just like off, or I have too much energy, so I just burn it out before I like ease into like home life. So I was just
Yeah.
curious to see what you do.
I
And
mean,
there's no right
I
or wrong
like
answer.
to after shift. I usually like to get to the gym, but there's a time frame where like I'm very much want to help she had the two foster kids that we have. So we've been fostering two kids for the last 3 years. We're about to adopt them in the next month, which is awesome. Um, but like just being able to help her, I think that's my ritual is like, I want to get home to relieve her from her shift.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
right? Like she just had a 24-hour shift also
Correct. Yeah.
by herself with kids that are crazy. You know what I mean? They're great, but they're kids and they're boys. And she's stuck home alone with them right now just because our daycare is closed. So it's very much like that's my ritual. Once I can get that kind of undertaken, like I've set squared away, I'll take the kids to the gym with me. They like to do some stuff at the gym, meet all the people there and hang out. I've been trying to get the older one to film me on with some of the training
Hell
gear
yeah.
stuff. Absolutely butchered it, but it was a cool experience. It
Dope.
was fun. So yeah, I mean that's I like to work out pretty much the first thing in the morning if I can. Get that out of the way and taken care of, because then I can start to hang out with the family a little bit more on
Yeah.
those.
Seems to me like your answer, like you have priorities, and your priorities supersede whatever you're going through. Like,
Yeah.
there's no feelings. There's work to be done. There's a discipline. Like you have your discipline, and then that's what you execute to.
Yeah.
So, what CrossFit gym you go to? I know, was it Pardue?
Yeah.
Pardo?
Pardoon.
Pardue. Okay.
Yeah, my boy.
Old Ryan. Yeah. Man, I tore him up on that one workout.
I
Yeah,
saw. I
he was
felt.
cramping
Oh,
up.
my man was hurting, but it was
Yeah.
good. It was good for him to.
He's
I
a
was
big
told
old
that we got to
dude.
do that together. Um, so he goes to CrossFit Prevail. I have kind of stepped back from CrossFit in that realm just because I'm dealing with some lower back issues for the last, I would say, probably 2 years, and even when I was in my CrossFit careers. Um, just lack of strength in a certain portion of my back is causing more issues as you start to move around. Erik, your back tighten up. Talk about lower backs. Everybody's like, oh God.
Not me.
Um,
Not.
it's
Not. Nuh-uh.
so yeah, it's a gym called Junkyard. It's kind of like a hit training, a lot of kettlebells, a lot of cardio, a lot of running, cycling, rowing. I noticed that Erik, you've been going to,
Yep.
I don't know what the gym is, but
Yo,
it's,
Yeah.
that gym looks like a club, bro.
yeah.
That thing
So
is
that's kind of like
popping.
the same thing. We've got different lights that go on and different, the different workouts and stuff. So that has been my kind of bread and butter for the last, I would say, year and a half. And every once in a while I'll jump in a CrossFit class at the old gym that I used to go to, CrossFit Potentia. And then I make sure I'm on the top three, just so everybody, I'll subtle flex when I walk in, just
Yeah,
to be
let
like,
them
hey
know.
guys, I'm still here, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
For me,
Yeah.
it's I got to keep my body feeling like I can perform all the time. So I can't really take it full. I'm not trying to be number one on the leaderboard for me anymore. I've been there. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But if I'm not ready to go tomorrow and I have to get on the truck because I'm so sore because I wanted to do a 315-pound clean, like
Yeah.
that's too much. Like it's too much
Too
right
much.
now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've had to really, as the same, just going through CrossFit years, taking the volume back, taking the intensity back, just because I've got other things now. I've
No
got other
doubt.
things that I'm into. I've got other things that I'm doing, and it's okay. Like you have these seasons of life that sometimes you gotta let the reins go a little bit and
Yeah.
and do this thing. And I think you need a little bit of grace with ourselves, and it's okay if you're not doing what you were doing 10 years ago. That's totally okay.
Yeah.
Um, just grace.
I just want to give a shout out to Laz from Legendary Fitness, the hit classes that I go to,
Yeah.
at Legendary Fitness. They're on Instagram at Legendary Fitness Doral, at Legendary Fitness Miami. You can
Yeah.
find them on there, and it's a vibe, though. It's a vibe.
I've
The
Yeah. No,
energy,
seen
it,
it,
the
it,
energy is
it
real,
looks legit.
dude, a
and you
couple
pretty much get
times.
told what to do. So it's
Yeah.
like similar to a CrossFit class, but the hit. We have stations. You go from station to station,
Yep.
and you're told what to do, bro. And sometimes I just don't want to think. I just want to do. Like,
No doubt.
it keeps it real simple, right? So,
I like
and
the variety of those things, of those classes, because it's about 45 minutes that you do different rotations and stuff. And you do, some Marcus Philly
Hell
kettlebell
mhm.
yeah.
training. I don't know if you guys know him, but like,
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. CrossFit
yeah,
Games
functional fitness
athlete.
side, he does very cool stuff. And right now I need more singular movements, right? So like left leg movements, right leg movements, and that kind of plane. Whereas in CrossFit, it's very much like anterior,
Linear.
Hmm.
posterior
Yeah,
movement,
front to back.
you
For
know.
sure.
Um, but it's constantly varied, and it's not the CrossFit side of it. But like we don't have any barbells in there. We have kettlebells, and let me tell you, those things will whip my ass
Well,
all
Yeah.
the time.
I have a gripe with CrossFit because they took everything and anything under the sun and labeled it CrossFit. So they
No
took
doubt.
interval training and they put, the Tabatas, and they
Yep.
brought what they did really well was they incorporated all this thing, right? Everything under the sun, and they put it as CrossFit, which is kind of like what Delta operators do and special ops. They take the best of all worlds,
Yep.
and then they put it under one single umbrella, which kudos to them, man. And then they gave it to the world for free. So
Sure.
that was genius. And then they made
Yeah.
everyone an athlete. That was
Yeah.
even more like compelling or
Yeah.
enticing. Like, what do you mean? I've never been an athlete in my life. You telling me I could be an athlete now? Oh my God,
Right.
CrossFit's the shit, right? Exactly.
Right.
So that's what CrossFit afforded me the opportunity, and it gave me a livelihood when I was a CrossFit coach. And so now I have certain skills, and I could like pass it on, pass it forward as a coach.
Yeah.
And I'll give you what works for me, and hopefully, it works for you as well. So CrossFit, man, made an indent, hell of an impact in my life, and so it always be in my good graces.
Yes.
But the thing about CrossFit, the negligence, so
Right.
negligent.
Right.
It could be borderline like gross negligence, and that's what when they were giving everyone a certification with the heartbeat, everyone with the heartbeat a certification, and then this is what you get. And so they
Yeah.
started like accrediting it. ANSI came in. Now you have to take a test, and so on and so forth. But CrossFit is not where. So CrossFit today is not where it was a couple of years ago, or even
Right.
like when it first started. It's going in a different direction, and I don't think I could fuck with it like I
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
I feel like the business model is different. Like times have changed, and you can get a different product at every different gym you go to. Because
Yeah.
from a guy that coaches 10 classes plus a week, you can see people that have come from a gym and they said, "Yeah, I've been doing CrossFit," and then they start moving, and you're like, "Who taught you that?" Yeah, you
Right.
look like a garbage fire right now.
Right.
Who
Right.
taught you that? And then sometimes you have people come from other gyms and they move great. So like the individual coaching and like Erik was saying,
Yeah.
like anyone with a heartbeat can say they're a CrossFit coach and not really know how to, see, correct, fix movement.
Right.
It's not you're saying the C word, but it could be different at every location. And I know just fighting the good fight. Like I want my gym to be a place where people are, taken care of and taught the technique.
doubt.
And so when they show up to other places, they say, "Oh shit, you know what you're doing. Thank God," right?
Yeah.
The variance within each gym is what makes CrossFit a little bit suspect sometimes. I agree.
Sure. Sure. No, I get that. And I think, currently the current gym that I go to, if I didn't have a good base, then I wouldn't know. Cause I look around and I'm like, man, I can't, I gotta just focus on, I gotta look at 45 degrees down on the ground. Cause
Yep.
some of y'all are doing some half squats and I don't know how y'all feel about this, but this ain't as good. So,
Yeah.
but I'm just there to like,
Sometimes it's scary, man.
Dude,
Sometimes it's scary.
you got me with the half squats, dude, because I could picture it,
it's
and I
wild.
have to stay in my lane. I cannot look. I'm so heated right now. You did not beat me, bro. You did not beat me.
You didn't.
You didn't beat me.
And if you think
I
that's what
refuse.
you were supposed to do for your workout, good for you. I'm happy for you. But can we please go below parity?
Yeah, I had to surrender to that. I can't be
Please.
the no rep police anymore. I can't be worrying about your workout because I got my own shit going on. Like, I can't.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is classic, bro. I'm not the only one that thinks this way. I'm not the
Yeah.
only one that thinks this way.
No, no doubt. No,
Oh,
just
man.
not at all.
I can't do it anymore. I can't give a fuck about that.
Oh man, hilarious. Yes, thank you.
But I mean, having a fitness routine that you enjoy and that you like, that's where I always harp on. Like, it doesn't have to be CrossFit. It could be whatever you want it to be. Just have something that you enjoy, and not only physically helps you prepare for the job, but mentally prepares you for the job as well. Makes you a better human, makes you a better brother, makes you a better husband. Like exercise for me is it's almost like how you would brush like a steel wire brush off the barbell. When you knock all that dust off of it, that's what exercise is to me. It makes me the best form of myself. So mental practice, physical practice is out of this world.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
My buddy we just got a fourth guy. He was a collegiate swimmer.
Okay.
And this is me being very vulnerable. I'm not a bad swimmer. I can swim pretty well.
Sure.
But there's a part of our swim test where we have to come up out of the water and have our hands and tread water with our hands out of the water.
Yeah.
Yo, no one ever taught me that.
No.
I mean, I can do the 500-meter test. Everything in the water, I'm super comfortable doing. But as soon as you tell me to bring my mother freaking hands out of the water,
That thing is,
I'm like, Yo, it's a crazy, like a death flex, like a gator
Yeah.
roll. Like I get going crazy, but tonight we're going up to the pool. I'm going to practice, but
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, when would I ever just bring my hands out of the
You're right.
water? And our GOGs say we have to wear PFD in the water anyways.
Yeah.
So at what point am I ever going to be doing this little weird dance here?
Hey,
But we're going to work on it
you
tonight.
never
Guess
know.
what? I don't like to get my ass kicked by anything. So I'm going to learn how to do this thing. And when I do, I'll be dangerous.
You'd be good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yes, you
sucks.
are.
I hate it.
That's
I hate
that's
it.
the mindset.
I
Yo,
also
I've,
just
I've
can't get
almost
in.
drowned like twice doing it.
I
So I
can't get in
really
a
need to
pool
get
with a
better.
group of firefighters anymore too, because they led into me on that one. Oh, you're supposed to be an athlete. You're some sort of fit kid. You can't even breathe. You were just trying to drown out there. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
of
Come on, leave
course.
me
They
alone.
love to see you fail. Like if you're that, if you're the
Yeah.
guy who they think is Mr. Fitness or anything, you struggle with one thing, dude. They
Yeah,
love to
they
bring you
leave
back
you.
down to
I
earth.
was like, man, I don't have all this body fat. It doesn't float.
Look, I didn't want to say that, but some of these guys are Rubenesque. A lot of thicker fellas through the middle.
Rugen-esque, he
Yeah,
says.
they're thicker and they can float. I don't
No
float,
doubt.
but
Oh man.
yeah,
Awesome.
fuck that.
Chris, real quick, regarding your kids, how
Yes, sir.
you mind touching up on that? How'd that come about and
Yeah.
the whole
So
process? Because unbeknownst to me, I didn't know. And
yep. So
how did it even come about?
well, so my wife and I tried to have kids, couldn't have kids. We did all IVF and all that other stuff. So very vulnerable and open about that. Everybody kind of knows that was the situation. And then one day we made a decision to try to foster some kids, and we got a phone call as soon as we finished the paperwork and did all of our certs. We got a phone call and they were like, "Hey, we got a 2-year-old that's been placed, moving around a bunch." And so basically got him, and then we had him for a while, and then we're able to get kind of his older brother. But as far as I can talk, I can't talk too much more about it
All
other
right,
than
enough said, man.
yeah, no, it's all
Doing God's work, my brother.
That's cool, man.
documented and
Yeah,
all that
that's
other stuff.
you have you're documenting it, the journey, the process.
So no, but I do
Oh,
have a couple vlogs that we just the documents of like DSS having
oh,
like
oh.
you know
Okay, I thought you were like capturing
but
on
I do
camera or
have
anything.
we're gonna do a couple more vlogs. We did a we did a yes day one day, and that was the day where the kids could do pretty
Yeah,
much anything, but then we had rules. So I
yeah.
made a whole vlog about it. I have a whole interview style set up, the lights and everything like that. And I mean,
That's cool, man.
it looks dope.
Yeah.
So once we fully adopt pictures and videos, and everybody will be able to see the kids from when we got them younger to where they are now and all
Oh
this other
man.
stuff. Because it's interesting. We have so much photos and so much videos of the kids that nobody's ever seen because we're not allowed to. Right. And so it'll be very cool for people to kind of see the progression of the younger one and where he's getting. Now, our friends and family have all seen him and the growth and all that stuff, but a lot of people haven't. A lot of people don't know because we don't really like talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't know, my bad. My bad.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole point of that is it's just we've been doing this and been in the trenches with them for the last 3 years, and so it'll be good to finally be able to have them do kind of whatever we want now and be able to
Yeah.
make cool vlogs and make these cool stories.
Well, we hope that everything goes smooth with that, man.
It's been a nightmare so far, but that nightmare is coming to an end, right?
Well,
So yeah,
that's good.
it's everything is good and solid. So the July 8th is when the finalized adoption will come through.
Getting pretty close here, brother.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. That's
Yeah.
hell of a story, dude. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen the progression of my daughter through the years from
Oh, I
when she
did
was in
that.
elementary school. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something similar to that.
Yeah.
It's super,
Yeah, no,
super
man,
cool.
it's cool to be able to document a lot of those things and see them grow up because those things pop up on your phone and you're like, man, where did this year go? Where did those 3 years go? Reilly, you'll learn that very quickly. Like all these little one times and things that you'll kind of take for granted, you'll look back at it and be like, oh man. Like I had one with my younger son the other day, like 2-3 months ago. He had one of those pedal bikes, like the stability bike.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, just get on this other bike, because he tried the training wheels and whatever. And so he did. I took the training wheels off and I just was running with him. And then it clicked in his brain, like literally like that. And it was one of those moments where it was like, man, this is amazing. And then it was gone.
Mm.
Like you'll have those amazing peak high, like you'll never see that. It's amazing. It happened. And then it's like, I'll never get that again for that specific thing. And that was the riding the bike. But it's very cool, but also a very weird feeling that nobody ever tells you about. So prepare for a lot of very like first time the kid crawls, first time the kid walks, right? You'll have this moment of joy, happiness. And then it was like a sudden flash of just sadness, because I was like, man, I'll never get that again.
Mm.
Wow. Weird. Very
It's hard to prepare your brain for that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm already on like seeing the first ultrasound and hearing the heartbeat for the first time. And now today we had an appointment and they found the heartbeat within like 1 second. They were just like, oh yeah, there he is. They used to have to do the Doppler all around and try to find him, and he's moving around.
Everything starts to speed up and get faster, and but that's like what happens, right? Like even for us, for fitness, is like it doesn't get any easier. You know what I mean? It just gets,
you get
more proficient at it. And you get better at it.
And you get to do more work just because you're better at it.
Yeah.
And then it still sucks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But not gear, Brian. Not that gear. Something about that gear.
No, that gear that doesn't.
And I try to like self-talk and use positive words. No, it is what it is, man. I'm already embraced it.
That the last one we did with the ruck, the 60 minutes.
Oh, dude, I did that last night. Holy shit.
35 minutes in, I was like, man, I'm good. I'm feeling good. This is great. 36 minutes hitting in, and I was like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm not okay.
I did that last night, and I'm like, I'm adding this into my normal routine because it was fucking terrible. I hated the last 25 minutes, 30, 40, like it was bad. I'm walking with my wife.
Minutes, I was like, I've got to be done.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this minute taking 30 minutes? What's happening?
My wife was looking forward to us having this talk and, just hanging out, spending time together. And about 20 minutes in, she said, you just stopped talking. You didn't want to talk. I was like, I was radiating my organs. I was infernoing my vital organs. It's terrible. Oh, and then I realized, like, I got to walk my ass home. Like, there's no quit button here.
Than halfway, you're screwed.
Exactly. Brother. There's no reset button on this motherfucker. We got to bring it back to the house. And I was like, oh god, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's a one-on-one. You go more than halfway of your bottle. You got to get out.
We realized we went a little bit too far quickly. Oh man, that one was harder.
I'm still trying how to formulate the words to express. There's a mental grind aspect of training in gear, and then there's the translation to the firegrounds of training in gear. Sure. And I still don't know how to like say it. But if I could kind of simulate going into that mental grind and that mental fortitude aspect of just being in gear, holding on to what you have, grinding it out, see what you're made of type of thing, and then come out on the other side with the task complete, then again, you're better for it. And now you know what you could withstand, and a perceived limitation as compared to like now we're drilling on the firegrounds and you're throwing a ladder, you're forcing the door, or you're stretching a line, or you're doing rig operations, because that's very important. That's more important than just exercising in gear. And
no doubt.
So I still don't know how to say it on camera.
Yeah.
So someone can understand what I'm trying to say. Like, so how do I put my thoughts into words to convey the message that I want to express? So I'm still battling with that, but there's two different worlds to the training gear thing.
Yes.
Right. What I just explained, the mental fortitude aspect of it, which is the mental
translation,
grind, and then the translation to the firegrounds, like our drills and
Well, for me, I just feel more confident when I go on scene, and I know that I have my gear on, even if it doesn't matter what it is. I know that I've done the pre-rec work to be prepared for this situation. When I get boots on the scene, I'm like, I know what this feels like. I've been to the dark place in my gear. I know what this struggle is going to feel like here in a little bit. I know it's coming. It's like your comfortability in the pain cave. Sure. Like, I've been here before. I know what it's going to be. I'm not going to be angry with this thing. I'm just going to know how to wrestle it a little bit better.
Yeah. I think once you start to understand training in the oven mitt is that you're more comfortable, like you're saying, in that heat, in that realm. You're not worried about that heat. That's one less thing that you're having to focus in on and trying to control when you've been doing the training and gear onto the fire ground, right? Because like we did a drill in a maze the other day, and I was like, man, I'm hot, but I am not to the point of like where I'd be like, man, I can't be in this suit anymore. That was a cool thing to start to see, is like the translation of training in gear, the physical fitness of it. And even if you're there doing those reps every single day, I don't care what you're doing for training in gear, learning how to pay attention to what your body is telling you when you're training and then when it's on the fire ground, because you're literally going, okay, I can't give up here, because if I give up here, this isn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like on that fire ground, there's a level of I don't want to say fear, because that's not the right word, but you in your brain, like Erik, what you're saying is like in your brain, you're going, I can't quit on this side. I have to push just a little bit further, so that you know that those tools are in that realm when you go down to that dark spot on the fire ground.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys a question and just formulate it the best you can. Because when I say training gear, what does that mean to you? So I'm going to go with Chris first, and then I'm going to go with Reilly. So kind of just like.
Then I got to roll. I gotta be out here soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Good conversation. It's lasting a long time.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So Reilly, what does training gear mean to you?
So for me,
Chris, go first.
Yeah. For me, it's getting overall more comfortable with being in the equipment that has been provided for me. Two, it helps with my mental clarity as far as like what I need to do and what I need to be prepared for the job, even if I'm just doing weightlifting stuff. Again, like I just said, it is one less thing that I have to worry about when I've already got a bunch of different things, and I'm still, again, very new to this whole thing. So, but the less that I have to worry about, like, oh, my gear is heavy, or I'm not breathing properly, the less I have to worry about that, the more that I can attack the task at hand, right? So for me, training gear, one, has considerably helped how I value what the standard should be for me. And two, it's given me a lot more confidence and courage to be able to handle the experiences that I haven't received yet. Right. So to me, that's what training gear is.
For me, training gear is that application. Training in gear, like you said, doing fitness in gear is part of it, but then being able to apply that to the fire ground, having that confidence, having that know that I know what it feels like to suffer in the situations that we have, and being able to apply that fitness to a fire scene is the most important part of our job. So why wouldn't we do the work in the gear and the training that we could apply then to the real life situation? We never see football players not practicing in pads. We never see baseball players practicing without a mitt or a bat. We need to practice how we play. We need to practice, learn, and then apply that to the real, our playground or our field is a fire scene. So train, learn, apply. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is.
Man, you want to ask your mantra question? Or
yeah, so I'm gonna hit my question and then I gotta go. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So Chris, we usually like to end this with, a mantra that you use inside when you're, training, or when in a tough spot, or even just in an adverse situation in life. Like, what we like to end these with quotes. So hit us with something like that. And I love you, and I mean it. My wife is giving me the I gotta go look. I love y'all. I'll catch y'all soon, okay?
All right. Sounds good. There's a variety of mantras that I do go through. A lot of it is you can't quit on yourself, because then you'll quit on them. That for me is kind of a big one. Once I get past stop being a little bitch, that's the other mantra, right? So once I get past that one, then that other one is, okay, let's do this for the people that have obviously haven't been able to do it. I don't, my brain works a very different way than I think a lot of people's does, but also similar to a lot of people. And so like, I'm not big on just repeating a certain thing. It's just having a conversation and grinding through those little things that I know that I can get through. And then being comfortable with being like, I'm pushing too hard. I know I have to stop. And I'm in a realm right now that I can stop. So I know what that's going to look like when I need to go, hey, LT, I can't do this right now. We got to pull back. Right. And so it's finding that nice balance when it comes to that.
My man. Yo, Chris, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for spending the afternoon with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. We're just getting started, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank
Yeah.
you for everything that you're doing, man. It's very cool to see, and it's very awesome to see a bunch of this Greenville City guys start to jump on board and join in on that. So, man, thank you again for what you're doing and the training and gear and that concept. And let's just keep pushing forward, brother.
All I can say, this is not mine. This is ours, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the gatekeeper of shit. I didn't come up with this. This has been around before me. It's gonna be around long after me. So I want to thank Chance Craven for making this connection possible, right?
No doubt.
And thank you, brother. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, Ben.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal,
And I'm Reilly. Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start training. It can never be enough.